Once upon a time, in a city full of traffic, neon lights, and always on screens, there was a brother and a sister that everyone simply called Little Brother and Little Sister. Their parents argued all the time, their heads always busy with problems, bills, and commitments, and the two children felt like background noise in a house that was too full of sounds and too empty of hugs. One evening, after yet another argument ending with slamming doors and "I don't have time right now," Little Brother whispered to Little Sister, "Let's get away, at least for a while. We'll find a place where nobody yells and where we can really listen to each other." Little Sister looked at him with her big, shiny eyes, hesitated for a moment, then grabbed her backpack with her sketchbook inside, a small water bottle, and an oversized hoodie. "Let's go," she said, and without leaving notes or messages, they left the house while the city was still awake but distracted. They walked for a long time, crossing noisy streets, overpasses, squares lit by giant advertisements. They wanted to reach the edge of the city, where the fields began, and a small wood that they had seen from the car window every time they went to their grandmother's house. The farther they went, the more the voices of the grown-ups turned into a distant memory, replaced by the rustling wind and the softer hum of the streetlights on the outskirts. But it was summer, it was hot, and the backpack only held a tiny water bottle, which they soon finished. Little Brother stopped, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said, "I'm so thirsty. If only there were a fountain." They looked around. Next to an old abandoned factory ran a little stream of water, barely lit by the distant streetlights. The water shimmered strangely, reflecting the colors of a neon billboard nearby, as if it were a magic potion. But Little Sister, who had read too many stories and watched too many strange videos online, felt a chill. "Wait," she said. "I have a bad feeling. Don't drink from here." In that moment, a low voice, like a whisper coming from inside his head, seemed to echo in Little Brother's mind. "Drink, just a sip. It will make you strong. No one will ever hurt you again. No one will ignore you." Little Brother froze, confused. He looked at the water and felt his throat burn with thirst. "Little Sister, it's just water. What could happen?" he protested, taking a step forward. Little Sister, gripping his arm, answered, "Don't you hear that voice too? It's like an ad, but inside us. Don't trust it." He hesitated, then stepped back, and together they kept walking. Further on they found another trickle of water, this one coming from a rusty pipe behind a closed-down shopping center. Again the water flowed with an inviting sound, but it was slightly dark, and the voice returned more insistent this time. "Drink, you'll have endless energy. You'll run fast. You'll be free from every fear." Little Brother clenched his teeth. "I can't take it anymore. My head is spinning," he said. Little Sister, though thirsty herself, saw something disturbing in the water's reflection. A figure with glowing eyes and a too-wide smile, like those influencers who promise happiness in 3 easy steps, but there was something cold and wicked in the gaze. "It's a trap," she whispered. "If you drink, something bad will happen. I know it." Little Brother pulled away again, trembling. They walked on until they reached the entrance of the small wood outside the city, a place where the streetlights became rare and the cicadas sang instead of roaring engines. There, in the pale moonlight, small streams flowed more clearly, but one in particular drew Little Brother's attention. The water was crystal clear, fresh, running between moss-covered stones. Little Sister, however, shivered. The air felt colder around that stream, and once again, like a personalized ad on the screen of their mind, she heard the voice. "Drink, little one, and you will be agile and swift like a deer. You will be able to run away from everything that scares you. You will no longer have to hear arguments, nor feel invisible." Little Brother heard it too, this time with an intensity impossible to ignore. "How do you know I feel invisible?" he murmured, as if actually talking to someone. "Because I've been watching you forever," replied the voice, soft as silk and cold as ice. "I followed you through the hallways of your house, through the nights spent listening to arguments, through your dreams of escape. I can give you what you want. Just one sip, and you'll be free." Little Sister stepped in front of the water, opened her arms and shouted, "Don't listen to it. She's a modern witch. She doesn't live in forests but inside screens, and in the poison things that push us to change who we are. If you drink, you won't be you anymore." But little brother couldn't resist any longer. He took a handful of water and brought it to his mouth. As soon as he drank, a shiver ran through his body. His bones grew light, his heart began to beat faster, his thoughts became confused. His hands turned into hooves, his body was covered in soft brown fur, his legs grew thinner. In a few moments, in place of the boy there was a small deer with frightened eyes. Little sister screamed, falling to her knees and caressing his muzzle. "Little brother, what have you done?" He could no longer speak human words, but his eyes said everything: fear, regret, and the same ancient thirst for freedom. Little sister cried, then wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "I won't leave you like this. We'll find a way to break the spell, I promise." They found a small abandoned house at the edge of the wood, probably an old hunting lodge. The windows were broken in some places, but the roof still held, and inside there was an old mattress, a small table, and a few rickety chairs. Little sister cleaned as best she could, gathered dry branches, and built a new life with her dear brother. By day, he ran in the woods, but never too far, because the fear of losing her was greater than that of any hunter. At night he came back near the little house and lay down on the bed of leaves she had prepared for him, listening to her voice as she told him made-up stories, full of courage, and endings different from the one they had lived. Meanwhile, in the city, the news of the 2 missing children had spread, but among thousands of notifications and problems, few really stopped to think about them. Only one thing had truly changed: a modern witch hidden behind 1,000 screens and 1,000 manipulated desires was following the signal of the little deer in the woods as if he were a newly created profile all ready to be shaped. One day, however, a boy arrived in the woods. He wasn't a prince in armor, but a young man with a backpack, a camera around his neck, and a certain tiredness in his eyes, like someone who has seen too many things through a lens and too few with his heart. He was looking for a place far from digital noise, a corner of real silence. That was when he saw the little deer, and not far away, a girl coming out of an abandoned house with a bucket of water in her hand. Little sister stiffened, ready to protect little brother. "Don't come closer," she shouted. The boy raised his hands in peace. "Relax, I don't want to hurt you. My name is Luca. I'm just trying to remember what it's like to be in a place without Wi-Fi." The honesty in his voice struck little sister, who hadn't heard sincere words without hidden agendas for a long time. Over time, Luca learned their story, bit by bit. He never laughed at the fact that little brother was a deer. He never asked to film him for easy views. He only made one promise: "I won't tell anyone about you unless it's the only way to save you." The witch noticed their new alliance and tried to slip into Luca's heart too, offering him fame, recognition, followers, if only he took the right photo and shared it. But Luca, who had already tasted that kind of magic, gave a bitter smile and turned off his phone. In the silence that followed, only the wind in the trees could be heard. That was when little sister understood. The spell fed on their desire to run away from themselves and to be seen at all costs. So together they decided to do something different. Instead of running from everything, they would try one step at a time to forgive and to be heard, to seek real help, not easy miracles. Days and nights passed, and every time little brother felt the old call of the witch in his mind, little sister spoke louder, reminding him who he had been and who he could still be. Until one morning, at the first ray of sun, the little deer woke up with hands instead of hooves and bare skin instead of fur. Trembling, he stood up. He was a boy again. They hugged tightly, all 3 of them, brother, sister, and their new friend. They didn't return to the city as heroes. There were no headlines nor applause, but they went back stronger with the awareness that the real magic was not the kind that promises to change who you are, but the kind that gives you the courage to remain yourself in a world that always wants you to be someone else. And every time a persuasive voice tried to slip between their thoughts, they looked into each other's eyes and remembered the stream in the woods, vowing never again to drink from anything that promises freedom. by turning you into something else before you've learned to love who you are.